Hello, and welcome back to the Leadership Pro podcast where fairness meets leadership. So, today's conversation is one I've been sitting with for a while, especially after this past week. And I've tried this on for size. So, I know what I'm talking about because I've experienced it. I took someone else's point of view and tried to work sick. So it didn't work out. But I just want to go on with this conversation. This podcast is titled Rest is Not a Weakness and Why Ethical Leaders Don't Push People Through Illness. So we live in a culture that still celebrates pushing through exhaustion, pushing through illness, pushing through pain. And too often the behavior is framed as commitment or loyalty or strength, or even for us entrepreneurs, being committed to our goals and vision. And if you don't do it, you're not committed to what you're doing and you don't want that success. But I want to be very clear today. Working through illness is not a badge of honor. And leaders who pressure people to do it are not modeling resilience. They're modeling disregard, little regard for the fact that you're sick. So, setting the context, here we go. There's a quiet pressure in many workplaces that goes unspoken. So we don't speak about it. We know it when we hear it, but we tend to want to follow along and do what we see others doing and not speak up about it. And it sounds like we really need you today. Can you just log on for a bit? Everyone else is pushing through. It'll look bad if you're not. So, and even it'll look bad if you're out again. So sometimes it's not even said out loud, it's just implied. You see how others react, you hear what others say about themselves, and you think, oh, this is what I need to do. You really consider those things because maybe it's going to help you. That pressure teaches people that, sorry, that their bodies are an inconvenience, that rest has to be justified. Do we have to justify that we need rest? Really? That being human is somehow unprofessional. And illness is a part of being human. You can't control it, it comes when it comes. And that is not leadership. That is a failure of care on both parts, yourself and those leading you. The body does not negotiate, it's not negotiable. Let's pause here for a moment. Illness is not a character flaw, it's not a lack of dedication, it's not poor time management either. Illness is the body doing exactly what is designed to do, signal that something needs attention, something's going wrong. When we ignore those signals, healing takes longer, stress compounds, productivity actually declines, and long term health is compromised. No title, no role, no deadline makes someone immune to biology. Think about it. You might have your big project coming up, or you're supposed to be like last week, I was supposed to be in a conference and I did go. But had I been sick, for real, I wouldn't have went and I would not have exposed others to illness. But oftentimes, don't you end up in a place where people are sick and you're like, hey, wait a minute, put a mask on, or why are you even here? Like, an airplane, a work center, whatever it is, you're just exposed. So anyway, enough about the exposure. Leadership does not exempt us from being human. So if anything, leadership requires us to honor humanity more intentionally. So the line leaders should never cross. Let's talk about that. This is where I want to be especially clear for leaders that are listening, because this podcast really is about leaders in the home, leaders in the workplace, and leaders in the community. So these are good reminders. If your leadership model depends on people ignoring their health, your leadership model is flawed. Let me say it again. If your leadership model depends on people ignoring their health, your leadership model is flawed. Pressuring someone to work while sick, directly or indirectly, because it could be unsaid. Maybe you don't say it, but you've said it once at least, but you've given the impression that they should ignore their sickness or illness. It's not ethical leadership. It's not fair for leadership. It's not fair. And it is not sustainable leadership. I tried it. Like I said at the beginning, I tried it. I got sick. I got the flu, and I had no idea how bad this flu was going to be for me. I was literally vomiting profusely, and it was like I couldn't stop it. But initially, I posted and I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this while I'm sick," thinking it was a good idea. But sickness shut me down. Guilt based messaging is harmful. Silence can be harmful. And rewarding overwork while quietly um, punishing the rest creates unsafe cultures. So you cheering on the idea of people working through sickness is harmful to the whole team, because the team gets that message that it's okay to do that, that this is how we roll. And if a supervisor or leader in the community or at home gives this impression that this is okay, others follow. Your followers are going to do that. Some people perform for their leader. So they're going to think, oh, this is good. I should do this. A system that collapses when one person rests is not efficient either. It's fragile. Fair leadership practice. Let's talk about that. Fair leadership means understanding that not one has the same margin. For some people, missing work isn't just inconvenient, it's risky. Rest comes with fear, not relief. Pushing through isn't bravery, it's survival for some people, depending on their environment they're working in. That reality doesn't disappear just because a policy exists on paper. Ethical leadership requires discernment, thinking about and making the right choices about situations. It requires trust, and it requires believing people when they say, I'm not well, instead of making them think that it's not okay to be not well. So, what wellness centered leadership actually looks like. So, what does this look like in practice? We got to think about how we would put this into play. It looks like normalizing rest without interrogation. Don't interrogate them because they said they need to rest. Sometimes I take mental health days, and I've said this before, and I'm honest about it. I'm sick. I need to stay home. I need a mental health day. Modeling time off instead of martyrdom. So that means you yourself, as the leader, take time off when needed instead of working through it. Designing workloads that don't rely on exhaustion. Valuing long term health over short-term output. So if you're staying home because you have this short-term issue, then it should be a good thing because you need to rest and valuing your long-term health over that short-term output. So that's not just for the leader, but also for the individual. Remember that care is not a weakness. It's a strategy because it only declines your productivity anyway. So in closing, I want to leave you with this. Rest is not quitting. Remember, leaders, it's not quitting. Rest is not laziness, and rest is not a lack of commitment. Rest is leadership, especially when someone else's body is asking for it. You know they need this. If you're a leader, reflect on what you praise. And see, that to me is a key. Your behavior is what they're going to follow. A lot of people, not everyone. And so if you're praising that working while sick, if you're praising that, people were thinking, oh, this pleases the leader. So if you're an employee, know that your wellness is not an inconvenience. And if you're building systems, build them with humanity at the center. So this has been the Leadership Pro, and I thank you for attending this session. And this is a place where fairness meets leadership, and fairness always includes wellness. Thank you for listening, and come back or share with someone you think needs to hear this or could benefit from hearing this podcast. All right. It's been a great morning. Thank you very much.